Hello everyone, welcome to TechSharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important value of provided in, that is any. In previous session, we talked about the root value, right? So this session is in the continuation of the same, where we are going to talk about the any value. But before we proceed further with this session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released session first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on how to use Angular provided in value as any. Okay, and as I mentioned, for complete freely available session, you can refer the TechSharmit digital course book, which is available in description box. So from there you can refer it, and it will also help you to learn about the other programming concepts, not only for the Angular but for other technologies also. Okay, alright, so let's get ahead and move forward. So here you can see we have one heading that shows Angular 19 course by TechSharmit. So yeah, this is the main heading. Then we have a second heading that shows provided in any feature level service in Angular. Okay, so with this title it is clear that this any value will be implemented at feature level service in Angular, not at a root level. Okay, so I think this is clear. Now we have some paragraph pointers that I will go one by one, and I'll explain you how these pointers is defining the provided in value. So first thing is, any is a less common but a very powerful. Now why it is less common? It is less common because we have root. So if you have root value, then in that case, if you compare that root value with the any, then in that case there is a huge difference. Why? Because root is frequently utilized in the application, but whereas if we talk about the any, it is not utilized in that way. So that is the one major difference that we have between the any and root, and that is why we are saying that any is a less common but a very powerful tool. Second thing is, service is registered in the injector of the lazy loaded module. Yes, so it will be registered in the injector of the lazy loaded module. So if you have lazy loaded module, in that injector it will be registered. Okay, this means that Angular creates a new instance for each lazy loaded feature. Yes, so if you have multiple lazy loaded features in the application, so Angular will create a new instance for each of the lazy loaded feature. Okay, now lazy loaded features are loaded only once when you navigate to them. So that is also a benefit. Like, it will be loaded only if we are going to navigate to them, otherwise it won't be loaded. Okay, then we have fifth point that shows each feature that use the service will get a separate copy. Yes, so suppose we have application with multiple features related to lazy loaded concept. So in that case, each feature that uses the service will get a separate copy for the service. Okay, now what are the benefits of it? Let's take an example. So there is a feature 1 and feature 2, both are lazy loaded. Okay, now with any, feature A has its own logger service and feature B has its own logger service. Okay, so we have service, but that service is utilized in two lazy loaded feature, where it will create a separate instance for each feature, and then that is why feature A has now its own lazy loaded concept. That means in its own feature A and feature B, feature A has its own logger service and feature B has its own logger service. And the benefit of this is that it keeps the data and state separate between the features. Yes, so it will keep the data and state separate between the features, and it is useful when the feature should not interfere with each other. Yes, so if there is a requirement, like you have multiple feature and you want to make sure that all feature or each feature will work separately and it won't interfere with each other, so in that situation we will go with a any. Okay, let's take a very simple example. Suppose we are working with a e-commerce application. Okay, so there is a shopping cart in a e-commerce application, one with a guest feature and one with a admin feature. We have two features, guest feature and admin feature. Now we know that admin has some sort of functionality that is supposed to be implemented by only by the admin, not by the guest. So if you are sharing it, sharing the instance between guest and admin, then it would cause errors, right? It would cause misinterpretation. That is why, like, we use any, and if you are using any, then the guest feature have its own capability and admin feature have its own capability. Okay, and it won't interfere with each other. Okay, because now both cards are separate because they are in a different feature. Okay, now let's say in the same situation where we are working with the guest feature and admin feature, if you switch provided into root, then in that case both feature will share the same card. So if admin and guest are using the same card, then there will be lot of trouble. Why? Because guests are not supposed to use the features that are provided to the admin, right? And that is why it will cause the error and unexpected behavior. And that is the purpose. Like, if you are sure that these are the features that should not be interfere with each other, then in that case you can utilize the any, because there you are not supposed to use the root. Okay, now the next important point is, if the application has no lazy loading, then any behave just like a root. Yes, so if there is no lazy loaded concept in your application, then the Angular will work similar to the root. It won't create much difference. Why? Because its difference will be clearly visible only if you have implemented the lazy loaded concept. Okay, fine. Now to explain this in a very simple way, what I'll do, I'll take one real world scenario related example. So suppose earlier we were talking about the society, right? So in that society, each maybe make it as building, or let's go with the floor. Okay, so suppose we have one building. In that building, earlier we were using the same water tank for the entire floors, right? But now in case of any, each floor has its own water tank from where they can drink the water or fill the water in the utensils. So that is the thing, right? So if you compare it with the root, so in case of root, a single water tank present on a terrace will be utilized among all floors to get the water. But if we are talking about the lazy loaded feature, then in that case it will be look like we have a separate water tank in each floor from where we are getting the water, or buildings from where the floor is getting the water. Okay, so in this situation, floor 1 can use the water freely and floor 2 won't be affected of it. That is the thing. Okay, now if we talk about the best practices, yes, use any when you need isolation per feature module. Like if you want to maintain a proper isolation, then in that case you can use the this thing, what we can say, any. Okay, alright, so yeah, these are the all things. And if we talk about how to add this thing, so in logger service you can see in provided in, you can just simply replace it with the any. Okay, and then you have to implement the lazy loaded thing and all that you can do. So here we are just talking about the values and their meaning. So if you have any questions, suggestions or feedback related to this session or maybe this playlist, you can simply reach out to me through the comment section. I would be more than happy to answer your questions, and if you have any suggestion, I'll try to implement that suggestion also. Okay, and again another important thing I want to say, that these sessions are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you, because for timing we are just mainly focusing on how to use provided in value any. But if you don't know about the surveys and all these basic stuff, then it would be a bit difficult for you to understand. So for sequential session, you can refer the TechSharmit digital course book, which is freely available in your in the description box. From there you will find the link, and then you can learn the things. So yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching TechSharmit.